Hey y'all, we're gonna make some greens. Now, I'm not a fan of boiled greens, but I do like them sauteed. And I'm gonna be honest, I've only been eating them for about 20 years. My grandmother, the same grandmother that would make those awesome butternut squash pies, she would make me eat spinach when I was young, and I hated it. Of course, it was all boiled, and I don't remember any kind of seasoning or anything, so it just wasn't good. But then about 20 years ago, I was on a date and I went to a very classy restaurant, and they brought out a plate of, like, you could see it bubbling, and they brought us each a saucer, and they, dished us out each a little bit. And then I found out it was actually baby spinach, and it was sauteed in garlic and butter, and it was phenomenal. So I eat greens today, and I saute them. And what I start every single pan of these with is bacon grease. It's an absolute necessity for my greens. So, I don't have a whole lot left in here. Y'all can see that. I don't even know if that's a full tablespoon. That's probably at a tablespoon. So, I think I probably should just go ahead and use the last little bit of this. And that's not a half, but, well, yeah, it's about a half tablespoon. I'm going to keep just a little bit left, just in case I need it for something else, because I can put this stuff in anything. We're going to let that get good and hot. And then the first thing we're going to do, oh, I can already smell bacon. I already had this pan going, by the way. You can use a frying pan. I just use this because, greens are going to be stacked pretty high. They're going to shrink down real quick. There won't be hardly any left in this pot by the time they're done, but they'll start out a big mound. So letting that get hot. And while that gets hot, y'all see that? Yep. We're going to cut an onion pretty thin. Greens go wonderfully with bacon, onion, and garlic. Now, if you're not a garlic fan, you can leave that out. I love garlic in just about anything. And so for this dish, we're going to add some minced garlic, probably about a tablespoon. And then I'm also going to add in a little bit of garlic powder, not a ton, but a little bit. And I'm going to add a little splash of red pepper flakes. Mustard greens are, they're kind of peppery anyway, so I'm not going to add much to them. And what we're making is collards, mustard greens, and turnip greens. And this video is for Karen. Please don't think I forgot about you. I just really wanted fresh greens out of someone's garden and not that junk they sell at the store. You're going to have to forgive me, because after you become a gardener, you realize just how, just how bad a lot of store-bought stuff actually tastes. So I didn't want to make you some greens that I really would not want to eat. I want to make greens that when I taste them and tell you that they're delicious, you'll know that I actually mean it. So, cut very thin. And now we're going to go stick these in the pot. All right, we got our onions in here. These are going to cook, say, probably 7 or 8 minutes. We just want them translucent. So I have turned the temp down to directly in the middle of medium and low, because we don't want them brown. They can get a tiny bit brown, but you'll see what I mean. You don't want to get them too brown. Now, some of the brownness of these will just absolutely be from the bacon grease itself. So you see there's a little piece right there getting a little brown. That's really just from the bacon grease. But we want these translucent. And then we're going to add in a tablespoon of garlic. And then we'll add some salt, a little bit of garlic powder, and just a little splash of red pepper flakes. And you can put cayenne pepper in here, pepper, anything you want. You can cook actual peppers with it. I know a lot of people cook actual jalapeno peppers in their greens. Now that depends on you whether or not you like the spice. So mine are good with just, I like mine with just that little bit of red pepper flake. And now you don't have to use bacon grease, by the way. You can use any neutral oil, veg oil, avocado oil. But this flavor just can't be beat. Now, also, I have a couple of pieces of bacon left, and toward the end, I'm going to go throw them in here too, because it makes it that much better. But you can use any kind of meat. You can, pork. So ham, fatback, salt pork, or just raw bacon you can toss in here. Whatever you like to give these, more flavor. And honestly, that's why I saute them, and why I add the garlic and a little bit of pepper flake, and why I will always use bacon grease to saute mine in. You just can't mimic that flavor. So these are getting nice and brown. Now I'm going to go get our greens out and show y'all what we're working with. Now you see our onions, they got a little bit of brown to them. Not a lot. Some don't even look like they're translucent yet, and that's on me. I should have cut it a little bit smaller, but it'll be fine. It doesn't matter. It's all going to cook down no matter what. So, got our little bit of browned onion. We're going to add a big heaping tablespoon of minced garlic. Back maybe just a little splash more. Go add a little bit of crushed red pepper flake. One. It don't always come out too easy. All right, so if you see, very little. Very little. Now, we'll put this back on the heat. You don't ever want to let your garlic brown. That would be catastrophic. Just get our garlic mixed in there real good. You really only want to keep it sizzling until you can smell it, and I can smell it almost immediately. I wish y'all could smell this. This smells so good. Okay. Now here's what we're going to make. This is 1 pound mixed collards, turnips, and mustard greens. I put a little bit of the stem in. Eating the stem is fine. It just takes a little bit longer to cook. I probably shouldn't have put any in here, just for the sake of this video. So I'm going to pull these couple little stems out, although there's a lot more in there. But stems, I can cook up just fine. You can eat them just fine. Now, I washed all of this. This came out of my neighbor's garden, so I know it's trustworthy. And I just grabbed like a big handful of each until I hit a pound. So now we're going to go add it to our boiler. Here we go. I know this looks like a lot. It's not. This will cook down and not be very much at all. But what you want to do, I'm going to pull that stem out. You want to get every single piece mixed in to that butter, to that bacon. Every little piece. You just want to get a hint of that bacon on it. These are so vibrant and green. They're so pretty. There we go. Pull some of that onion up. And y'all can see already how much this is shrinking down in the pan. Now, when it comes to greens, it's hard to get kids to eat greens. I mean, they, especially if you just boil them up, they just don't taste good. They really just don't taste good. But if you cook yours up like this, that stem out. If you cook them up like this, you have a much better shot of getting your kid to eat some greens. Now, you have to sit here and keep turning these. At least for a while. At least until we get them all mixed in. Now you see how far these have cooked down? They've cooked way down. Now we need to season them. We added a little red pepper flake, but we haven't added anything else. I'm going to use sea salt. And I'm going to add a big, that's probably, I'm going to say a teaspoon. You want to season your greens well. And then even though I have minced garlic in there, I'm going to add some garlic powder too. You could also add onion powder, even though we got onion in there. But if you want to get your kids to eat some greens, season them well. I don't know anybody that says no to bacon. And now there are so many different ways you can cook greens. Besides sauteing them like I am, you can fry them, you can boil them, you can steam them. They're so good for you. They're chock full of fiber, lots of vitamins. I believe vitamins C and K, if I remember correctly. But greens in general are good for you. Doesn't matter which kind. You can, I know some people like mustard greens and then they won't eat any other ones. They like, they like kale and mustard greens. It's, got that spicy taste to them. The main thing for me, I don't mind the spicy. I just mind the bitterness. So that's another reason why I cook these the way that I do. And I cook mine completely. You can make a salad out of these raw. You don't have to cook them at all if you really like greens. I'm not that devout, y'all. But you can cook these. A lot of people will call this right here done. Still got a little crunch to it. They'll eat them just like that. I can't do that either. So, yeah, I've got to let mine cook all the way down, and then I've got to have cornbread. Got to have cornbread. Now, what I do, and this has worked out well for me, when you get greens from the grocery store, or you get greens from anywhere, preferably a farmer's market or a neighbor that grows them, you bring them home, you wash them up. You can go ahead and cut them up. Like, you see, I just left these in, just a rough chop, really. Bring them home and cut them up. Put a piece of paper towel in your container, plastic container or whatever you're going to keep them in. Put a paper towel in there, and then put your greens in there, and they'll last in the fridge for a week. And you'll already have them, pre-shredded, cut however it is, pre-chopped however it is that you want them done. And then whenever you're ready to cook them, all you got to do is get them out, and they'll still be good. Otherwise, they don't last too long. Now, you can tell this is just simmering away. This is still going to shrink, even though there's, if you look how big this pot is, it looks like there's almost, and that's an entire pound of greens. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add about half a cup of water, and I'm going to turn this all the way to low, and I'm going to put the top on here, and I'm going to let them sit here for about 20 to 30 minutes, 30 minutes at the most. And then we're going to take the top back off, and we're going to let them cook another 10, 15 minutes, something like that. And then we can eat them. So, let me grab some water. About a half a cup. I don't want to use any more than that half a cup, y'all, because the last thing I want to do is water down that bacon flavor or that garlic or the onion, that we worked hard, the flavor we worked hard to build to be able to eat these in the first place. So, these look great. I'm going to put a lid on here, like I said. You see there's not a ton of water. You can barely see it in the bottom right there. And really, I just added it to make sure none of this burns. I don't mind if it gets, a little crispy on it. It actually tastes pretty good, being honest with you. But I don't want the garlic to burn for certain. That would ruin the whole thing. So I'm going to turn this down to low. I'm going to put a lid on here, and I'll be back in 20 to 25 minutes. Before I forget, I just came back and I added, you see right there, I added half a teaspoon of baking soda. You add baking soda to greens because it preserves the chlorophyll in them, which will keep them vibrant, beautifully green when you're cooking them. And the salt itself helps cut down on the bitterness of the green. But that baking soda is pretty. Is important if you want to keep your greens pretty. And there we go. That's what you want them to look like. Or that's what I like them to look like. I really, prefer them cooked all the way down. So now let's get them out and have a taste. Now I'm going to get some of that cornbread I put up in the freezer. I'm going to get me a big chunk of that out. And I'm going to eat my greens for the day. Let's try this. I tell y'all, not a fan of greens, never have been. But for the last 20 years, I make them, and I make them exactly like this. And they're actually enjoyable. So bacon grease, salt. You've got to salt these. You got to salt them pretty heavily too. Garlic powder, some red pepper flake. And again, minced garlic. You can add potatoes in here. My mother, she boils hers and adds potatoes in there and lets them boil for like 3 or 4 hours. These are delicious. Karen, I hope you give this a try. I'm absolutely about to grab some cornbread, and I'm going to eat this whole plate. Thanks for watching, y'all.